I think they cater for people who are not as much of a burden.
Okay, welcome to Hoxton. Got Hoxton Street Market sign right behind me, so you know where it matters.
Completely different side of Hackney that we see versus what they see, the gentrifiers, the influencers.
Good architecture for social function and high capital investment next to that area, you're gonna see rapid gentrification. So
It shows you it's been prioritised, do you know what I mean?
My name is Erdemkuslu.
Yeah.
I'm a Kurdish artist born and raised in Hackney.
Yeah.
And yeah, man, I'm 23 years old. I have a background in art, computer science and social science. Been raised here for the majority of my early life.
My name is Dylan Law.
Yeah.
I'm running for Deputy Mayor of Hackney for the Green Party. Just running a mayoralty campaign. Lived in Hackney my whole life. Born and raised, used most of the council services. Went to secondary school here, primary school here.
Yeah.
And now I've pivoted to this.
My name is Zaina Tasnim.
And where are you from?
I'm from Hackney.
Where in Hackney are you from in particular?
I'm from near Broadway Market, London Fields area.
Right. And what changes have you seen happen to this area in Hackney?
The changes I've seen that have happened in the area that I live in is the change of shops, the
Right.
change of people,
Right.
the change of activity and prices in shops.
There's been massive changes in terms of gentrification.
Yeah.
And gentrification, even for the purposes of this interview, I'd like it to be defined as the imposition of capital and wealthy forces within areas that are historically socially deprived of capital in particular.
A lot of it to do with redevelopments. There's been a lot of new private redevelopments, a lot of new private flats, especially residential,
Yeah.
is our big thing. I'm seeing a lot of the investment from mainstream services, and obviously that has to do with money from national government, etc. But the general sentiment is there's less money for the people already living there, and there are more people coming in with more money who don't help our case, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
Private rents push up our rents, is more or less it. All of the blocks along here are social rent homes, right? The rent will be like £500, £600 a month for people on low incomes, right? But there's 8,000 people who can't afford, or who can't, for example, not afford necessarily, we don't have access to those homes because there's not enough of them. So when new developments like that one go up there, and you see majority of allocations to private flats, there's a certain amount of people who need a house, they're given the smaller percentage, and then larger percentage goes to the people who can pay it off. So in terms of fairness, there's a limited amount of space. So when you need to house all of those people, but you end up housing people just because they can afford it more than the other people who need to be housed already, I don't think that's particularly fair, but, well.
Here we are in London Fields Park.
What significance does London Fields have to you?
For me personally, this is where I grew up because I went to primary school there. And this is the park I always go to. And here is where everyone, yes, the gentrifiers included, come for a nice picnic, sunbathing. It's lovely.
currently walking down Hoxton Street Market, and in terms of the regions that have changed, mostly that side of the street so far hasn't been as touched, but this entire side has had new shops, refurbishments, and I would say in particular with these refurbishments, these are still here to serve in majority the local community, right? And so things we love to see would be that. However, if you just look on the other side, we've got this new built Lidl that left it so Iceland was not able to be used by the local area, the people that are going to shop in the Iceland in the local area for at least a few years. In that downtime, Lidl then got the contract, and as you can see, these are all new builds, and I presume you don't need me to tell you who the demographic of these new builds are here to serve, right?
How do you think these changes affect you and those around you?
Negatively, yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely negatively. As I said briefly, if a redevelopment comes with 500 flats and the rents are 5 times higher than the rents already there, that's going to incentivize landlords, whether you believe it or not, to push up rents themselves, which is what they end up doing. It also incentivizes shops with higher price tags to open up to serve the people with higher rents. Those higher price tags end up closing down the shops with lower price tags. the kind of shops that we go, people already living here end up going to. Places like Lidl, Aldi end up closing down for places in areas like Gales, right? And what ends up happening is costs of living get so high, especially with residential costs, that you end up moving out the borough. So it's definitely a negative impact. I mean, like, this is Marion Court here, right? There will be 163 new homes on this development. Only 36 of those will be social rent homes. Mind you, if you look at Marion Court beforehand, like I'm talking about 2020, 2019, probably even beforehand, you'll see 3 different blocks. You'll see 1 block, 2 block, 3 block. And like, there would have been at least like 100 different homes in there. All of them would have been social rent. Apart from the ones from right to buy back, etc. But when they were built, all of them would have been social rent. Now I can see the argument, yeah, they were run down. But why is it when they're knocked down and then rebuilt, only 36 of them are now social rent?
We are basically smack bang in the middle of some of the richest parts of London and some of the poorest parts of London. And it's almost entirely crazy to think about how the area in which I grew up in specifically was considered at one point to be 0.01 of the most percent of the most deprived places in the entirety of the United Kingdom, whilst literally like a 15-20 minute walk away, since the 1980s, Shoreditch has been the world's most expensive creative real estate. And so we're literally seeing some of the world's highest prices in areas a 50-minute stone throw away from some of the poorest areas in the Western world.
It's about the mix. And unfortunately, with gentrifiers, they're never really trying to mix. And they're never, again, really looking out for the local area, right? Whenever you think gentrification and think regeneration, it's not that.
These changes affect me and the people that I live with and that live around me, because it's quite an inconvenience for you to go to your local area and the prices have changed, or they've gotten rid of places that you used to go that like you have now Planet Organic stores instead of local supermarkets or local bakeries that we would usually have. We can't have that affordable luxury we used to have anymore.
What do you aim to do with the content you make and spread on social media, TikTok?
What do I aim to do? Or what's the purpose?
Yeah, what's the purpose of that?
It's a lot of it's about awareness. I don't make money from it, obviously, and I don't particularly intend to.
Yeah.
I do mainly do it to support my journey with my election. My election is my main thing. And if I can communicate to people in a much more clearer way with what's going on now, then it benefits. If I can speak to people in a way which they can understand, and if I can really build a following, come up to the election, and in the case I win, I can very easily use that to expand it and then communicate what I'm going to do. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's 10 times better than the current council channels. I don't have to send letters through people's doors. I mean, they'll do that as well, right? But as I said, before I started this Green Party journey, the main thing I was on my phone. That's the easiest way to communicate with me. So if I'm going to communicate with someone else, the first thing I'm going to think of is how do I communicate with myself, or how do people communicate with me? It's my phone. Yep. Turn it into creative space. They could have done that from the get-go. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's people in our area who have the ability to do certain things. All they need is a platform to do it.
I think just providing perspective and information in it, like, I think at the very least that's the first step. If things come after that, or people are in positions where they can do further more, then that's obviously great. But if people don't have information, they don't even know what to act upon. So I guess that is my main priority, to raise an awareness and to give a podium to the actual voices of Hackney, me being one of those, but yeah.
Not everything that pops up here is in support of the locals themselves. And when I say in support of, I don't just mean directly supporting the locals, I mean also providing for the locals. That means on a design consideration, do the locals understand what you may be there for in terms of what you're selling? Is it things that the locals are interested in?
I definitely see these changes portrayed in social media, because you would think, oh, this is the area I grew up in, yet somebody else is showing it on TikTok, like, you know, this new viral place, this new thing, and like coffees for £7, and it's like, okay, this is the same area I grew up in, and it's completely different to what you see in social media. Right here is Broadway Market, which has been really heavily gentrified.
How quick do the shops come through and go out?
Like this, so quickly. So quickly. You'll be here 1 week, next week's a completely different shop.
Why is it important for people who feel strongly about the changes in Hackney to use their voice on social media?
Power in numbers. Power in numbers. Don't underestimate how someone feels by themselves. People have very different situations, and oftentimes those people are large in their total number, and maybe even 1,000 people for a certain situation, but they'll be very isolated. So they may get an institution who fights back at them and says, this is how it's going on, you're in the wrong. And they're just sitting at home and they feel a certain type of way. They may have dependents, right? And it's not great. But if they understand that, in fact, there's 300 other people in the exact same situation, they're going to feel like they're part of that 300 people. They're not going to feel like they're by themselves. And when they realize that all 300 other, or 299 of those other people have had the exact same response, and they even see one other person say, actually, you're in the wrong for that, to the institution, maybe they'll think maybe you are in the wrong for it. Maybe they'll think for the first time that they're not in the wrong, right? Which a lot of time they're not. A lot of these situations are large systemic institutional issues. They're not things which have sprung up overnight. They're not things which are randomly their fault. They've been done by design. So like, this is one of like the best examples I have of social segregation that happens along with gentrification when it goes wrong. So this is a building, this whole thing is the same building, except from the entrances are segregated. So the private rented flats where they own the flats or they rent the flats for private rents is this entrance here. You can see there's an entrance, then there's another entrance with blurred glass on it, or they put some blurring panels on it so you can't see through. Double entrances, right? Very nice paint. I've only been there a couple times. The walls seem fine, everything is fine. If you look on the social rent side, you can see there's only one door, no blurring. And if you even look inside on the paint, you can literally see chips on the paint already. This is, as I said, they've split it so you can't cross over when you're inside. So if you're on the social rent side, you can't cross over to the private rent side, as far as I'm concerned. Vice versa, private, you can't cross over to social. And I mean, what's the need for doing that? Why do you have to treat one group of people lower class than the other group of people? And if you think I'm talking rubbish, that's the communal bins. Right next to the social rent door. There are no bins by the private rent door.
Because the more voices that we have on this, the more likely there will be people that hear it. Obviously, that can be a bit of a double-edged sword once again with the way that algorithms work, when we do an analysis of who owns these companies and whatnot and corporations, the fact that people can be deplatformed at any time, but you can't really deplatform everyone. And hence, if we all use our voices, it makes it so much harder for those men to do whatever they want. And so I think it's just about recognizing we actually only begin to truly have power when we're a collective through these things.
Before you look at the skyline, look to your left. We got Hoxton Library. Now, Hoxton Library has been a safe haven for young students, young adults, elder adults, and those that do not have access to computers, and basically anything else that you can think of that a library is useful for. Mental health support, being a third space, not requiring any money to go and learn about things. And so Hoxton Library has been at the heart of Hoxton Street Market for quite literally decades, and we love to see it and do not want anything to happen to it.
I think because social media can be so effective, and we've seen how much gentrification can spread through social media. So can we see the reverse? Can we see the reverse of people saying, hey, look, this is how we can help stop gentrification? Because social media is a big tool on how it has spread, so we can do the same in reverse. This is Benny's dessert shop. Let me tell you, this is the biggest thing to come out of social media and gentrification. You see this place all over social media, and the gentrifiers love it. And I can't say I don't love it too. I can't say I don't.
Gentrification in Hackney is often talked about through numbers, like rising rent prices, property investment, and regeneration statistics. But living here, speaking to the people, and watching how it affects us online has inspired me to document the changes we've gone through, revealing something less visible: the quiet erosion of familiarity as you get the feeling of walking through a neighbourhood you recognise physically but no longer emotionally. Hackney has always been subject to change. Everywhere has. But the question isn't whether change should happen, it's who gets to benefit from it and who gets left behind in the process. It's culture, history, communities. These are the things that have been shaped by generations of working class residents, but they are the ones being displaced more and more as time goes on due to the commercialisation of our borough that pushes us out in every which way. Beyond their fantastical language of development and upgrading, where's the real care and consideration for those of us not on the wealthier end of the spectrum? Much like those I've interviewed, I also strive to make more of a difference and make more people aware of what's happening to us. And hopefully with the recent change in Hackney's council to Green Party, policy will shift to reflect and reverse the negative shortcomings of gentrification. As Hackney continues to evolve in the future, we should turn to focus on not just what the borough can become, but what we may risk losing along the way.